All right, good morning. Thank you guys for coming and spending your Monday morning with us. We are excited about the next steps of your St. John's future. And I know for some of you, this might be the end of the road and a sad time, but we are glad to have another opportunity to spend with you and your children. And for those of you who will continue down the road, and for those of you who've already been down this path before, you can help me out as we help the parents who are going down this road for the first time. So welcome. We want to talk to you about grade 8 high school admissions. Yes, I know that you're probably thinking your kid just started 7th grade. No, 7th grade is over now. We had a great time last week in the Keys. Oh, we couldn't have ordered better weather. And now we came back on Monday to slam you with high school admission stuff. So I'm excited about this process, and this will be my third time going through this process. Last year, I learned a lot in understanding how it works, and I was so grateful to have Emma Lubin beside me last year, this year, this current year, to understand the process. And so, with that being said, I want to officially welcome her. Emma will be working a lot closer and kind of taking the lead in this high school admissions process. We were going through, she went to every meeting this past year. She's gone to all of the visits that we've had with Berkeley and Tampa Prep and Robinson IB. Every school that I visited, she was right there so she could learn the process. And what we've learned is that every school pretty much has the school counselor does the high school piece of it. So we will be working in tandem as we did this year in making sure that all the boxes are checked and making sure that we continue to maintain our strong relationships with our high schools, our feeder high schools, and to make sure that that process continues meticulously and that we do everything we can to have your children have their first choice high school selection. So with that being said, I'm actually going to turn it over to Emma, and we're going to tag team a little bit, but she's going to go through the process. We're going to go through the stats for the last several years. We will tell you what to expect. And then what we're going to do is let you know how the process begins in the fall with things that you have to do and things that you have to do this summer. So with that being said, I will invite Ms. Lubin to come over and walk us through this. Let me share this with you. And there's no need for you to take notes unless you care to. We will share this slideshow along with the video that we're recording for the parents who aren't here today. So
you're a little taller than me. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here. As Dr. Weaver said, I joined him this last year. I have so much fun with the admissions process, so I'm really honored to be able to work with you all and with your students going into this next admission season. With that being said, today we're going to go over just a general overview of how we will help you navigate the high school process. We'll talk about some of the stats, the numbers over the last 5 years, the timeline for the admissions process, as well as specific school information, like their application deadlines, testing dates, and other information that you might need to know. But before we get started, this is something I like to do is remind us all to take a big deep breath. This is really, it can be a very stressful process. Our kids pick up on that, they feel that stress. And as the adults, we want to make sure to manage our worries and our fears so that they are not taking on kind of that extra stress and that they're able to just get in and do what they got to do. So I like to teach a box breathing technique. Some of you may have heard of this before. But basically it's like drawing a box in the air. You breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and then hold that for 4 seconds. So if you don't mind joining me, we'll inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. Hopefully that helps us get started on the right note and ease a little bit of our worries moving into it. Oh, yep.
okay, so this is my favorite part. How many parents, how many of you, by show of hands, this is your first year at St. John's? Oh, it's your second year. No one first year. Okay. How many of you second year at St. John's? Okay, we got Guy. How about third year? Okay, Marilyn and Taylor. Okay, how about fourth year? Okay, Grayson. And okay, how about fifth year? Did I skip fourth? How about fifth year? Okay. How about sixth year? Okay. Seventh year? Eighth year? Okay. How about 9 years? Okay, perfect. And so that means that takes it all. Everyone else will be here 10 years. Okay, so thank you for that. Now, this next question, how many of you have had an eighth grader already go through this process before? Okay, perfect. Please take a look around the room. Raise your hands real high and wave them in the air, just like you just don't care. If you have questions or if you have anxiety, please, these are your experts in the room. They can help you go through the process. How many of you have gone through this process with me last year, or how many of you have gone through this process with me before? Yeah, I think you have. Anybody else? Okay. All right. So if you have questions, again, please feel free to talk to some of these parents from a parenting side of it, but also, we'll be here. And I want to clarify one other thing. I know that I said Ms. Lubin will be being front and center. That does not mean I'm stepping away from it. Not at all. We're just working in tandem as we did last year. She's just gonna take a lead in some of the process piece of it, but we all work together. We all will visit the schools together. We sit down in my office and do letters of recommendation. We sit down to make sure all the packets are done along with the other teachers. So I'm not leaving from this part. It's too critical. So just wanted to make sure I clarify that.
Thank you. I'll just hold this. Okay. All right, so let's get into some of the stats over the last 5 years. We'll start with Academy. This year we had 20 applicants. 20 of our students applied to Academy. It's the most that we've had in the last 5 years. And we had 18 of those 20 accepted, which is also the most we've had accepted in the last 5 years. So we're really excited. It seems like that's taking the spot as a front runner for a lot of our girls. Berkeley, we had 17 students apply this year, 15 were accepted. Berkeley has continued to be, we have a strong relationship with them, and a popular choice for a lot of our students. Those numbers have kind of fluctuated, as you can see, over the last 5 years, but very proud of that 88% that were accepted. This year we had a new school pop up on our radar. We had a couple of students actually who are interested in Cambridge Christian. We had one who actually applied and was accepted. So we're interested to learn a little bit more moving into this year, especially if any of your students are interested. So yeah. Next, Jesuit. Jesuit, this year we had 22 students who applied, and 18 were accepted, so that's a solid 82%. This is a very competitive school for the boys, and looking at their applicant pool, we're really proud of that 82%. We continue to have a good percentage rate across the years. Robinson IB, this year we had 8 students apply, and 3 of those students were accepted. Now, we understand that that number is a little lower than we would like it to be. We are in communication with their admissions department to learn a little bit more about why we didn't have as much of a turnout as we would like, so that we can get ahead of it for next year. And so we don't have answers right now, but we are working to understand that a little bit more. I will say that this was not a front or a first choice for any of our students this year. And even out of the 3 who were accepted, none of them are going to be attending. So despite that, we still want those numbers to be higher. So we are gonna get on top of that as soon as we can. Tampa Catholic, we had 3 students apply this year. All 3 of those students were accepted. Last year we didn't have any, so we're happy about that this year, 100%. Tampa Prep continues to be a strong choice for our students. Out of the 14 students who applied, all 14 were accepted 100%. We've got a great relationship with them. So proud of that number as well. The most we've had in the last 5 years applied there. All right, moving forward into discussing the specific timeline and the plan for our side of the process. Immediately, so by the time we get back from summer, we would like you to have filled out the parent input form for letters of recommendation. This helps us get a better idea of what sorts of things are happening maybe outside of school, or things that have happened before your students step foot on the Middle Division campus that we might not know of. That would be helpful and beneficial to include in the letters of recommendation. We want to make sure we just have a well-rounded idea of a picture of your kiddo, and we don't always see them as much as you do or in the ways that you do. So we want to include that information. So by the time you get back from summer, we ask that you please have that done so we can start editing and making sure that those are good to go really early on. Friday, August 28th, we will have a high school interest survey that we will send out to you, just so that you can inform us of what schools your kids are interested in, and we can kind of track that and make sure that we're staying on top of where they want to go. We're getting them the information that they need. Monday, September 14th from 5:30 to 7:30, we have our high school fair where the schools will come onto our campus and present information to you and your kids. They often bring students and they'll talk about their experience. It's a really cool opportunity. And a lot of people change their idea of where they thought they wanted to go. So I really recommend that you come and fully engage in that. October, the IB application opens, and then mid-November, we'll send out final reminders about the IB program. Late November and early December is when we really start finalizing and getting those recommendation drafts done. Early December is when teachers will sit down and fill out the recommendation forms. They will also finalize and get together transcripts and ERB scores and bring those over to schools. Dr. Weaver and I hand deliver them to the schools before Christmas break in a big file with your kid's name on it. And then in December, the course enrollment forms for Plant High School will come out. We'll talk about that if your kid's interested in Plant, or you may be looking at it as another option. And then late February, early March, the decisions are announced. And in April and May, we will send out a survey that asks where your kid was accepted and where they're going. All right, school info. For Academy, their application opens in early September, and it closes in early December. They use the high school placement test, the HSPT, that they do the testing in early December, and then the decisions come out mid-February. Excuse me. For Berkeley, the application opens in early September and closes in early February. They use the SSAT. They provide multiple dates throughout October and December. So you can look that up. They have that on the website, but they'll also reach out to you to let you know the dates and when you can head over there to take the test. And then admissions decisions come out in early March. For Jesuit, that one opens in September, in early September, and then closes in early December. They also use the HSPT, and they have multiple times throughout December. And then those admissions decisions come out late February. For Plant, public high school, right, it's a little different. So we'll get into that if your child is interested, like I mentioned earlier, when those forms come out. And then Robinson IB, the applications open in October, and then they close in December, and then the admission decisions will come out in January. Tampa Catholic, they'll open in August and close in early December. They use the HSPT. They have dates in November and December, and then the decisions will come out in late February. Tampa Prep, Applications open early September and close in early December. They use the SSAT. They also have multiple times throughout October and February, and their admissions decisions come out in early March. Okay, that was a lot of information. I don't know if you're feeling overwhelmed already, but take a deep breath. We are here with you throughout the process, so remember that box breathing. Feel free to use it if you need it again. And yeah, we thank you for trusting us. Let's talk about what's next. Next steps. So first things first, we do want that, like I mentioned, that parent input for the letters of recommendation before the end of summer. That high school interest survey opens Friday, the 28th of August. On Monday, September 14th, that high school fair we'll have here. And then we just need you to breathe in the meantime and take it day by day, step by step. Here's our contact info. If you need to contact myself or Dr. Weaver, those are our emails. Like you mentioned, we'll also send this so you'll have the full presentation with all of the information. But please feel free to reach out. That's why we're here. We want to help. We don't want you to feel nervous or worried. We're here for every step of the process, and we want your kids to be successful too. So we're excited to do what we can help. Anything you want to add?
I just want to clarify two quick things. Just a couple of clarifications when it comes down to the dates. So those dates are tentative because obviously we're a little bit ahead of their admission season. They're just closing up last year and getting ready for the fall's incoming class. So that's how it worked last year. I do know that last year's dates opened earlier for Jesuit. They opened in August. So, and some of those dates may be off a little bit, but when you get this slideshow, just click the links and you could see the actual dates. We'll have those updated because we do another meeting in the fall, similar to this. We use the same slideshow, but we just update any information that we've missed or any information that is updated. Another thing that I want to talk about real quick is SSAT prep and HSPT prep. Last year, I'm very happy that we took a chance to, and we may do it this year. I want to get some feedback from our current 8th grade class to understand their feedback on how they felt the HSPT test prep software we use worked and get their feedback, but it is for pay. We negotiated a rate with Test Innovators, and we use Test Innovators to help us prepare for the SSAT and the HSPT. I was pleased from what I saw with the results on the back end. And if we do that, it will be just before we go to summer so that as a part of the summer work requirement for our 7th graders, if you choose to do that, they can work on the HSPT and SSAT practice. Last year, we negotiated a rate for HSPT. It was like $100 and they have a year license. And then for the HSPT and the SSAT, it was $320. And so what that software program did was allowed them to do practice tests. They had a lot more resources for the SSAT because the SSAT has a lot more information. It's a modern test. The HSPT is a little bit different, but they actually track students' performances and do exit surveys and have a lot of information and resources that help our students prepare for those tests. And then what we did last year, which I thought was really awesome, is we took 2 days and did test prep where we had all the 8th grade students sit down and do time tests. Right here in the cafeteria, we had practice tests. For the ones who actually purchased the license for Test Innovators for the HSPT and SSAT, we had them do an actual retired test for the SSAT, and for the HSPT, we had them use it so that they were able to get their results immediately. For everyone else who did not purchase the license, we found some tests online. We used those practice tests. And then what we did was we took the score reports and we projected where the kids would actually fall in those stay nines, and we sent that information home to parents. So that's one thing we did to try to make sure students were familiar with the tests and make sure they had actual seated time to have the practice to help them prepare for the HSPT and SSAT. So again, I want to get some information from parents of the current users before we make a commitment, because the school absorbs the cost in that, and we also share part of the cost with you all, and it is an option. So anyhow, that's that. I believe we are finished. Thank you for your time. I'm going to open it up for questions. So if you have any questions about it, I also want to let you know that we are available to meet with you. Last year, we required every parent to meet with us. We're not requiring you to meet with us this year. But if you would love to meet with us once we come back in the fall to talk about the process, if you have questions about your specific child, we are more than willing and able to meet with you, and we'll send out some times if you have questions about the process. Are there any questions that we can answer for you now? Okay, we're just going to work from left to right. So we're going to start with Camille, and then we'll just kind of go on this way. Thank you. That's a good question. I'll repeat the question for people who are watching by video. When will we have the dates that you can go and visit other schools? I will have that information in the fall because they don't have it available now. Some schools do not do shadow days. For example, Berkeley doesn't do shadow days. Academy does. Jesuit, they don't do shadow days, but they do days. They have set aside days for us to go and tour as a group. But yeah, we'll have all of that information for you in the fall. Yes, Ms. Armstrong. Yes. That's a good question. The question is, when you take the HSPT or the SSAT, do you take that test at the school and do they share those results? Yes. So if you're interested in Jesuit, so Jesuit, Academy of the Holy Names, Tampa Catholic, and I believe any of the Catholic schools across the nation, they usually use the HSPT. You take that test where you plan to apply as first choice, because that's the suggestion. And then they share those test results. The same with the SSAT. For Berkeley Prep, for Tampa Prep, I think that's it. They use the SSAT, and again, they share those results. Those results will be sent to the schools. No, you do not take it twice. It's one time, and you take it at the school where you feel the most comfortable. So thank you for asking that question. Yes, Andrea. So good question. The question is, what about this parent input? Okay, so I'm gonna, when I send the email out today with this slideshow, there's a link that has, it's a Google form, and it has questions that ask, can you tell us about your child? What kind of environment do they thrive in? Tell us some characteristics of your child that we don't know, and that'll help us be able to blend what we see academically, but also what we don't see outside of the school day as we craft these letters of recommendation. So yeah, that will be in your instructions today when I send out this slideshow to all parents. I hope to have the video uploaded also and just do one comprehensive email. But yes, you'll have until August, and we will let you know if you don't turn it in a certain time, and we still chase people all the way through September. But we're asking you to please take time when you have time to make sure that we are able to, we're writing 50, well, last year we wrote how many? 55, 56 letters, and then we have to write them specifically for each school too. So if you do your part, it'll help us with our part. So thanks for that question. Yes. That's a great question. The question is, we see here that Plant has their course recommendation or course request in December. Do you still do that if it's not a first choice? Yes, they switched it up on us this year because we did it in January last year, and they actually asked us to do them in December, and they let us know, I want to say like a week before the deadline. And so we ended up reaching out to all the parents, and we did the course enrollment forms. Yes, you will do those, and you will go through the course registration process. But in the event your child is not going to Plant, you just withdraw it, which that's the case. Last week, I got an email from Elizabeth Ariano over at Plant of the students who we had going, and I informed the parents to withdraw it. Some didn't, so I communicated with them just to withdraw their application, and it's very easy. It's just a quick email to them, and they withdraw it. So no worries on that. The same thing with Robinson IB. Now, Robinson actually had the window open for 2 weeks this current year. So to open in October, we don't know when. Sometimes it changes, and then they have a second and a third window. But you will also have to give them your commitment before you hear from the other selective high schools. And so you will have to do the same thing, withdraw it, which that's no problem. That's why they have a second and third window, because things happen and they do have vacancies that they open, and that's why they do those. So it's not a problem if you do that. It's not a commitment, but it is something that they ask the private schools to do ahead of time so that we can make sure they want our kids, and they want to make sure we have preference, which is why they do it before they do enrollment to the general public. So I like that, and it doesn't affect us negatively. It doesn't reflect negatively. I made sure I asked her. It's not a problem at all. Okay, moving to the left. Yes, Belinda. They don't. Okay, the question was, does Academy take the girls on a tour like Jesuit does? They don't, only because Academy allows shadows. Jesuit doesn't. So the girls can actually go shadow with former Eagle if they want, and they get to spend the day there. They don't do that at Jesuit, so Jesuit kind of gives us our own little curated tour one day, and we allow the boys to miss school. I usually go over and pop over with them. You went with us last year, and then the boys come back to school. So good question. Any other questions? Anything general, anything specific about the process? Anything we can help you with? I feel like the anxiety level is real low. I love it. Last year's group, it was so low. I was like, are you guys here? Are you living? And yes. That's a good question. Is it something that St. John's coordinates as far as the tours are concerned? That is something you need to do based on your schedule. If you, whatever day you choose, just fill out the attendance request in Veracross. It's excused automatically. It's usually for probably a few hours, and then usually the students come back to school, but we have no issue with that. So whatever works for your schedule, it's fine with us, and for Academy schedule, but you coordinate that directly with them. Yes. So Berkeley, they don't do shadows. They do like these open house style days, and you would coordinate with them. You will have to visit. That is one thing about Berkeley. You will have to actually go to campus and visit. Tampa Prep doesn't require it, but you have to either do a video, like a video interview type thing. So each of these schools has some nuanced approaches to how they complete their application process, but Berkeley does not do shadow days. Again, neither does Jesuit when it comes down to you being able to visit. But Robinson IB does also, and you can do it with 2 or 3 people. So if you have some of your children's friends who want to go to Robinson IB and do a shadow day, we had a couple of girls go together this year and do that, and last year also. I think it was a group of 5 of them that went last year. Any other questions about the process? Yes. That's a great question. She asked if we would give our opinion or kind of guide based on our understanding of your child and to be able to provide guidance. Yes, but we won't offer that unless you ask. And if you want to set a meeting, it's very tricky because we can be opinionated, but we will tell you based on what we see and based on our limited experience with your child here. But yes, I've had to do that for the last 2 years. And sometimes parents listen, sometimes they don't, when it comes down to what we see from the educational standpoint. Another thing that I want to remind you guys is that when you take a look at the schools, please fast forward 4 years and take a look at the data. Where are these schools sending students to college? So you're making a huge investment. I mean, $120,000 in some cases. I don't know about you, but the way my bank account is set up, I just would want to make sure I'm getting my bang for my buck. So this is a huge investment that you're making, not just in high school, you've done it for here too, make sure that you're thinking beyond the next 4 years. And so you want to take a look at that also. We can give you our experience with the environment. We take time to go and meet with students who have actually graduated. We ask them, how was the jump? We spend a lot of time trying to understand how these schools serve our students. And we want to make sure we provide you with the most comprehensive information we have. And we also know your children and their personality when it comes down to their academics, when it comes down to how they engage socially. And it's our job just to spend a lot of time trying to be able to help you with those decisions and to making a perfect match. So if you ask us, we'll tell you our 2 cents. But you're the one writing the check. So it's your family's decision.
What sorts of things they look for besides just grades? Are we going to talk about it? Just to add to, for obviously this is a stressful process for a lot of families, and we want to do what we can to make sure that our kids have the best chance. And a lot of times we look just at grades and maybe involvement, right? Extracurriculars. What we realized last year was a lot of especially the teacher recommendation forms, they ask a lot of questions about not only the student and their grades or how they are as a student, but about the family as a whole. What will this family look like as a part of our school community? Are they supportive? Are they, so I just want to encourage you all, as much as we can get hung up on the grades, there are so many things that go into these high schools' decisions. And so we want to look at a bigger scale and just remember that, yeah, there's a, what did you say? It's a complete package. Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, please.
To Ms. Lubin's point, also making sure that when you look at these schools, these are all wonderful schools. And so I would ask you to think about your child, and of course your child is going to tell you kind of what's happening socially. They're going to say, oh, all my friends are going over here, or all my teammates are going over here to this school. We want to make sure that we're looking at what is the right match for your specific child. And of course, the social piece is a part of it, but we all know that your social circles are going to change another 5 or 6 times, whether it be through a job, whether it be through high school, whether college. And so we want to do what we need to do as parents and help our children understand we have the wisdom to know where the road leads. And so we're here to help you along the way. This is not an easy decision to make, and you do not have to make it on your own. We have made connections with the schools and kind of have an understanding of them. And of course, you have people in the community that can help. And also feel free to lean on these parents who've gone through this process before. So we can do everything we can on our end to make sure we've checked boxes, but the decision does not lie in our hands. You can't change anything about it. We can't change anything. The good news is that these are great choices, and we're in such a great situation to have wonderful schools in South Tampa. I'm telling you this now, but in a few years, my son will be going through the same process. So I might need you to come and tell me to relax. But if you need anything, we're here for you. If you have any questions, again, please don't hesitate. In the fall, we'll be opening up some time for you to come in and chat with us if you have questions. Some of you know exactly what you want to do and where you want to go. That's fine. And some of you have no clue. That's also fine. We're here to help you. Any other questions at this time? We still have 30 minutes that we had allotted for this meeting. So otherwise, we just have to tell jokes all day and have to ask you some quiz questions. Yes?
High school route is, I know we can come in and talk to you if that's going to be an option. Is there already, if your child is already in this certain area, do they just get slotted in automatically and you only choose basically an AP course different?
That's a good question. If your child is zoned for plant, how does the course request work? Okay. So what we do is we fill them out because we're the counselors for Plant High School. And there's a formula that we use. We look at the ERB scores, and with the ERB scores, that tells us what classes they should be in. So we pick the English and the world history, and then we pick the math and the science. And then from there, we send the form home. We sign it for, the Spanish and Latin. If they're doing well, they would automatically go in with a credit of Spanish and Latin. And then what we do is we send that form home to you all to rank elective choices. And so then you would send that form back. I scan it and send them over. And so what they do is automatically have the students already in those courses. But then there's an enrollment process that you have to do, which is show utility bills to prove your address and to do some other things that gets them officially enrolled. They ask to do that before it opens to the public. Again, they ask you to do that before we leave for Christmas break. So that's a great question. Any other questions about anything else? I'm sure you will have more. You don't have to feel you answered them all. We are available through May of next year to ask questions and answer them to answer questions for you if you have them. But again, the process is pretty smooth when it comes down to checking boxes. It's just the anxiety that comes in. But again, you have great choices and it's a good problem to have. And I can guarantee you, from what I know of all